Welcome to another edition of Florida Newsmakers with our special guest, CFO Jeff Atwater. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Let's get started and talk about PIP.
Sure.
I thought PIP was last year's issue, but here it is again. What are your thoughts on some of the changes that the legislature is addressing?
Well, the legislature, we all share the same goal. I share this goal, the governor shares this goal. Bring down the cost of insurance for our fellow Floridians. The costs were too high, bring them down. And I think the initiatives of PIP's bill, last year's PIP bill, will do the trick. But there are members who are impatient, and that's how they should be, because they're fighting for the consumer. Some believe that the Affordable Care Act may actually provide the necessary coverage, and why make someone include PIP in their coverage as well. That's not certain yet, however, and I believe that the legislature, at the end of the day, this year, the law has just gone into effect, will probably leave PIP law alone this year. That's my guess. And they'll insist that within the next 12 months it gets what it was set to do, and that is reduce rates. And if it doesn't, I'll be calling for a change to PIP just as well.
Do you think we're giving the reforms enough time, to see results? Because I think some of the complaints in personal injury protection is that we're not seeing insurance premiums going down, and that was what this was intended to do, to kind of cut down on the fraud.
Right. And that's what I think the people listening to us today, all the consumers of Florida, would want the legislature to be impatient. Bring the rates down. And so it just went into effect really on January 1. It's been in less than 4 full months, been 3 months, it's been in place. And I believe it's going to have the effect. If it's not, I'm insisting that they take it out and replace it, or just pull it out altogether and drop those rates. I think we're going to see the reductions.
See, that was my next question. Obviously, you served as Senate President, so your message to your colleagues or former colleagues in the legislature, give it a chance?
It is give it a chance, but I share their impatience. The numbers that came out in the fall from the insurance companies is for the first time in 5 years they didn't raise rates. That's a good start. Now we want them to lower the rates. And as soon as this law can go into effect and the fraud can be diminished, they will lower the rates. But it just went into effect. I'm as impatient as the legislature. If these rates don't go down by the fall, by the first of the year, by this time next year, I'll be saying to the legislature, for heaven's sakes, revoke this and put something else in force. Reduce these rates.
CFO, what about citizens' property insurance? They've garnered a lot of media attention, both good and bad, recently. Reforms, should there be reforms?
Once again, I think the people of Florida can't take any more rate increases. They have been living with rate increases on insurance. After 04-05, every private player in Florida virtually left the market. They were too afraid. 13 named storms in that period, in a 2-year period. The risk they thought was too great. All of these accounts went into Citizens. Citizens' rates have been incrementally going up, but the people of Florida can't handle that. We're finding the private companies this year are actually coming back now. There hasn't been an event. They're coming back. So this past year, over 340,000 accounts in Citizens' households went back to the private marketplace at basically the same rates they were at. So the answer is, I don't want any more rate increases. I don't think Citizens needs to be doing anything to the rate cap glide path that was in place. And I think if they do that, incrementally the marketplace will continue to take customers out, offer them probably broader services, more imaginative services, creative services, good service, and that's what the people of Florida want, lower rates and quality service. And I think the private marketplace is coming back.
Moving along to transparency, contracting, one of your top priorities. Are we headed in the right direction? Do you have concerns with some of the state contracts?
I do. And the issue is I didn't know this when I was the president of the Senate. The departments couldn't even tell me how many contracts the state even had. So when I became CFO, I insisted. I want to know how many contracts exist in the state. And I want them all to be online. I want them all to be imaged and transparent. I want every Floridian to read what we're doing with your money. So now we've got 38,000 contracts online. But when I'm looking at those contracts, I'm disappointed. No private sector company would do what the state is doing. They would have due diligence, they'd have backup controls, and they would have somebody looking over the shoulder that we're actually getting in these contracts what you would expect. A clear deliverable, performance measures for what's supposed to get done, and if it doesn't get done on time or done right, there's a financial penalty, a consequence. We've audited approximately 50% of the state contracts don't even possess those common sense elements. I'm asking the legislature, put in law contracts that agencies put in place to spend the people's money have to have good quality elements so that we get what we're paying for. That's all that I want. It's their money.
Final question. 2014 governor's race. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, I'm running for re-election as your Chief Financial Officer, and we've got our candidate in Rick Scott, and And I'm hoping that the people of Florida will give me one more shot to be their chief financial officer.
Thanks for your candid answer. And to you, our viewers, thank you for watching.